All right, Mr. Ross. Thank you.
I'm from good. She's in North Carolina always.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Mr. Super, I wanted to give you a quick update on some technology, but first I wanted to again ask everybody for their patience out there as we work through some sound issues here in the room. We do have a vendor on the hook to add some microphones in the ceiling here so we can better pick up the gallery as we answer and talk back and forth. But like every other school district in the state of South Carolina, they're looking to make improvements to their school board room as well. And so we're kind of in the middle of the road there as far as getting on their schedule. But I'll continue to press that and try to improve that timeline so maybe we can have that in place before our next board meeting. First, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about technology. We've overcome a huge hurdle in getting one-to-one devices out to all of our students. I want to applaud the technology department for their efforts, their late nights and their weekends for this last month or so, as we've imaged over 4,300 laptops, about a little more than 1,500 iPads, and in those iPads had to have a case put on them and a screen protector and get cataloged and get back in a box so they could go out to the schools, where the school, I have to give them a round of applause as well, because just to drop them off there is just the beginning of what went down over these last couple of weeks with principals, their staffs coming in and putting in extra hours and a lot of effort in making sure that we got those devices in the students' hands. I appreciate that very much. 160 or so teacher laptops have been imaged and deployed out. That's in the high schools and to the career centers. And then the other piece of this is we've had, at this latest update, I think we've deployed just today, I want to get this number right, just today, 877 hotspots. Now these hotspots got here Friday. So we didn't waste a whole lot of time in getting those out to the school. Again, our technology department worked over the weekend to get what they had already requested out to the schools, and we'll have another round ready to go out tomorrow for that second group of folks that's coming in on Tuesdays. So lots of computers out there. We got a lot of computers that we're trying to take care of, a lot of devices. That's with the hotspots and laptops, we're over 7,000 in June and July. So that's working in some other school districts. Going one-to-one is a phased-in process. Usually takes a couple years to make that happen. And this group of people and these principals in this room, along with other colleagues out there, got that pulled off in a summer. That's huge.
Each device have a charger.
Sir?
Each device have a charger.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Do we
There
have
was a shortage somewhat until this last order was gotten in. Laptops, your last order.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, everything's here and everything's been deployed. Now, we do have some laptops that's in reserve in case we have some damages. We've had a few damages already. Accidental things, it's just part of doing business. It's going to happen. And so we'll continue to work through those issues and make sure that we've got a solid backup going into more of the instructional arm of what we're doing.
Mr. Rawls,
Yes, ma'am.
do we have any type of surplus at all of extra chargers?
We don't have any surplus, no ma'am.
Okay.
And it's had to go into where, even with the computer laptop chargers, we've had to catalog those because there's such a shortage of them. We're having to be more accountable for them. Back in the day, I guess you could say, those type items were shelf ready. You could just go and pick them up. In the climate that we're operating in now, nothing's really in stock.
Well, for the parents that have gotten laptops where the chargers aren't working, I mean, what are we going to do for those if we don't have a surplus?
We may have enough for those isolated times that's happening. I don't think that's a widespread issue. I think it's a very minor issue.
I have
Yeah.
had a few phone calls
Right.
in reference to that
Right.
today.
Actually, all I heard was that we got the device, but we don't have a way to charge it. I don't know how widespread it might be.
Yeah, I've not heard that. Like I say, I've heard some isolated issues here or there.
So you think we have at least one charger per device?
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Did each student that received a laptop or iPad, were they new or used devices?
We had some new, and then we had some that was rolled over that was already in school. You know, we already owned them, so they were re-imaged and reissued again. And that's not uncommon. We did add a lot of new devices to get to the level where we could have a one-to-one deployment.
Question. Was the information that was on the used iPads or computer, were they, how would you get that information off that?
That's one of the comments made earlier was some of the staff at schools was able to, they could go in and control that and wipe that information off. But when the computer, whether it's an existing device or a new one, it goes through a process called imaging, where we again wipe that machine and then install the softwares that we have licenses for that students would use for their instruction.
Because I know I got a couple calls stating that some of the students' information was still on the devices that they got.
I'm not aware of anything there. I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, I received a similar phone call today as well.
I haven't heard that, but I'll follow up on that and make sure. But that shouldn't, I mean, that process that they go through, I don't see how that, I guess anything can happen. So, but a lot of things going out there. We do have some more hot spots that have arrived that are going to have to go through a little more of a setup time. We've got to go set up a portal for managing those. It's a little more time consuming. The ones that are being deployed now come preloaded and ready to deploy through that vendor. So in the next day or so, we should have the majority of those ready to go as requests come in. Any more questions on computers?
Just a comment. I had a call today from Boys Farm thanking us for working so closely with them, as well as Carolina Connect and WC Tel. They're evidently working very hard to get them service out there. I think there's over 20 kids out there that need access, and that partnership between our staff, Carolina Connect, and WC Tel seems to be really working.
Our technology staff has been in direct contact with those folks, and I know they've traded some information back and forth.
They were very complimentary of your staff.
I appreciate that.
Is the help desk, does that run through I'm assuming through the technology department? Is it just one person that's manning that?
I think
you have several techs
I think it's
that are
coming
manning
into
it?
several techs there.
Okay.
Yeah, and then whoever's reading that, depending on what the issue is, it may even get transferred to another tech that may be more savvy
but
in that area.
We're, and I know that you can't answer them right away, but I mean, we're able to answer them quick enough that if somebody's calling in there in the process, if they can't log
Right.
in, or they can get a hold of somebody right then,
We do.
or
Yes.
in a timely manner.
Yes, ma'am. And we had a fair amount of students that brought their devices even here today for some added help, and the technology department responded to that very well.
Okay, and I don't know how many that you have on staff there, but with it being so unprecedented and so many issues that are going on, is it possible even for, and I don't know how the department's split up, so I'm just kind of asking a question
Sure.
here that if we can send, some of the text to, like, just say that there's a day for, that it goes to Prosperity Reichert, or a day it goes to Whitmire, or a day, he or she, goes to Little Mountain, or Gallman, or whatever, that they're kind of available, so that if there are particular issues, then all the teachers at that particular school knows that for a certain amount of time, there's going to be a tech person in their building that can...
I think that's something we could definitely look into with the day's rollout and not really knowing what to expect.
Right, and I mean, not, you wouldn't have to do it on a permanent basis,
Right.
but enough, especially right now with everything being so confusing for everybody, and it seems to be kind of universal through all the schools, that, I think that would be a big help
Right.
too, knowing that they would have somebody there that would be able to assist them.
Now, I know that the folks in the schools have been working with the tech that kind of works that area
Right.
on a routine, that they've been communicating.
Right. I mean, I know that like with the TTLs is what they were telling me, and each school has one, but again, that because that's a teacher in a classroom, you know, I mean, if that teacher's doing, you know, keeping up with her class, I mean,
Right.
he or she is only going to have a limited
Right.
amount of time to really be able to devote.
That's right. Yeah, we're attacking that. I
Okay.
think that Tina and her staff is doing a really good job of getting out there. But again, we just put a device in every student's hands. We are probably somewhere in the range of 13,000 devices. When you count computers, iPads, your desktop computers, computers that are in a computer lab that still live there. That's not to mention all the cameras and the smart boards and all the other pieces there. I think the State Department recommended a 1 to 500 or so device ratio. Right now, we're running on about a 1 to 2,500.
I guess it's a
device.
good thing we added a tech last year.
Very good thing. Very good thing. That's right. But yeah, it's trial by fire, by all means. And with a very small staff, I think they've overcome many obstacles to get to where we are now.
Right.
Well, I have one more question. That virtual help desk, that would be, say your charger's not charging the computer, you would call that same line for
Correct.
any kind of,
Now, also, we also have the ability for a work order to be put in to technology, and then we have some deposit areas in the school where that device can be dropped off with the media specialist, whoever's holding those backups or reserve units. That student can be assigned a new computer to go log in on while their computer is gone out for service. So there's a quick turnaround there for that. That gives my tech an opportunity to go to the school, identify what's going on, see where it needs to go to be repaired, and then get it back to that student.
so there are spares, so to speak,
Yes,
in
ma'am.
each school?
Yes,
So-
ma'am.
Okay, good.
Yes, ma'am. And so we've got that process in place. It'll be wiped down, placed in the container, and then the tech will come by there after school hours and pick that up, and then address anything else that needs to take place that he or she may have gotten a work order for that needs to happen after students leave from instruction. So,
What kind of accountability do we have for our students that have received devices? As far as taking care of them and returning them, and
well, it's
what
there-
kind of system we got in place? I know we got something.
Yeah, it's and I can't call the exact name of the management system that it is, but it's each device has a UPC label on it that carries that device's information, who's it's assigned to, and the same thing is applied to that charger because we've got to keep up with it as well. And then that whole package is assigned to a student, and it's logged into that system. So at any given time, whoever's managing those devices at the site can go to that student's name and say, okay, I'm going to take this one, and it's going to the repair shop, and I'm going to add this one to the student's name. Now, this is your computer for you to go do your learning on. One-to-one plus, that's it. And it's a software package.
Just out of, I know that you were talking about laptops, that each of the schools have extra laptops if they have to switch out or work order has to be done. Is that the same thing for the iPads? That
Yes, ma'am.
every school, we know that every school has them?
I wish we had, a lot more new devices, but
Right, well, I
We'll
didn't
get to that.
necessarily mean new,
Yeah.
but, I mean, if an iPad is, since our kindergarten through second grade, like in our elementary levels, that each school, making sure that they have the extra iPads and the laptops.
yes, ma'am. And that still stands true for our Newberry 1 students as well, that they would return their damaged device to their school that they normally attend, and from that school, the work order would be put in for them. So they could turn that in there and pick up a new device as well. But that would be based on where they would normally attend school.
Okay. And if for some reason a school were to give out of whatever they had extra there, it wouldn't take them any time to just
Oh,
pick
we
up
would
the phone
borrow
and call
from another
you,
campus. Yes,
and then
ma'am.
you would just bring
Yeah.
it to them.
Yeah, and that happens periodically.
Yeah,
that we'd have to
I mean,
shift
I
something
figure
around.
that would
Yeah.
be.
Yeah, but I staying in touch with the folks at school and making sure they monitoring their level of backup devices. This is good. I wanted to move along and talk to you a little bit about student nutrition. I know we had some discussion earlier about that. Right now, all of our elementary schools and Whitmire Community School fall under our CEP, our Community Eligibility Provision, which comes with breakfast and lunch for every student on those campuses. We'll be providing meals for those students on virtual days, but we're working through that process now as to how to best distribute that based on the campus and what the activity is going on there. How we get those on the bus and get those home with our smallest students. We continue to massage that and try to improve that method. Today we were able to send meals home with those students. And from some reports on some campuses, it wasn't a fun activity. On others, they may do. They got them out. So where it becomes a little bit more of a challenge is at the middle school, high school, where they're not in that program, and it's a pay, or if you're in the free and reduced quadrant of that, getting those meals to the right persons so they can get out. I know that we didn't have a lot of participation today in the breakfast. It was at the exits for the middle and high school students to take on their way home, because they get every student in Newberry County gets a free breakfast if they want it. Not a lot of participation today in wanting to take those home with them. So it's a shelf-ready breakfast, but still not a lot of participation. I wanted to talk to you again about the Newberry One students that are also offered in that same meal program. If they qualify, they get free, just like they would in the school. And we're also inviting them to participate in our student nutrition program and purchase meals from our schools. When we put the survey out that was due back on Sunday for our e-learning or Newberry One students, we had 106 show interest in joining that program and purchasing lunches for their Newberry One student. Those lunches will be prepared on Wednesdays for pickup. We have a schedule in place from about 9 a.m. to around 1 p.m. A couple of schools stretched that out to about 2 to give plenty of flexibility for that Newberry One parent to be able to come pick those meals up and have those ready. We're looking at some other menu options. We're looking at something that could possibly be a package and be warmed up for a warm meal at home for that student. But we're still working through that and how we will prepare that meal on site to be able to go. You kind of have to think about all these years we've been feeding children in the cafeteria. They come in, they go through the line, fix their tray, and sit down at the table. And now we've kind of had to back up, and it's almost like we're in a hospital. We're having to prepare those meals somewhere, put them in a rack, get them to a particular room, make sure the right student gets it. It's really changed our whole operation in student nutrition. Completely changed it. And in saying that, I wanted to applaud Ms. Barnes and her staff for working with the principals again, coming up with some viable options that we were able to put in place to get students fed today and get students get their carry-home meals home to them. We get to do it all again tomorrow with a whole new group of students that hadn't done it before. So it's opening day 1.1, I guess. So, we identified some shortcomings today that I think tomorrow potentially going to go a little smoother, and I think Thursday's going to go a little smoother, and Friday's going to smooth out. It's just a learning curve right now, but we're up to the task. We're up to the task.
So clarify that for me now. We still have students in the hybrid, 4,000 students that we'll see twice a week. So certainly we can accommodate that. What we're concerned, if I'm understanding you right, is feeding them when they're not in school.
Correct.
Okay. So they're going to be there 2 days a week when we do it. But we got another 106 that you got to work out somewhere. Is that right? Am I missing any?
That's right. That's right. But then we've got a whole bunch of Newberry One students that I would invite to be a part of our student nutrition. Let us take some of that burden of having to worry about that when your students at home and need breakfast and lunch. But put that back on us and let us provide that. That keeps our program viable, and it keeps our folks busy and working, and more of a normal. I think our numbers compared with a normal school year, just a little under 6,000 students. I think we've accounted for those, but that program's really off as far as the total student count.
So if our Newberry One students qualify for free or reduced lunch, are we making that available?
It can be, yes, sir.
Does it depend on the school?
Yes, sir. No,
They be classified individually or?
it's the
It's available for all of them.
It's available for all, yes. And then we're also looking at a piece of software that come to our knowledge today or over the weekend that will interact with some of the software that we currently track all those students, whether they're paying for meals or they're in another program, to where when you log on as a parent on this particular software, it automatically interacts and tells you what your status is. So whether you're a paying patron or not, and then let you link to a menu and pick what you want to have for those days that you're going to be home. So we're actively looking at that now, and I don't think it was a real expensive venture to do that. So that may be the next step to where we go as we try to do carry out. We're trying to do carry out, and we're trying to do it good. I don't want to do it bad. If we're going to do it, I want it to be as good as it can be. Any more questions on meals? Did want to speak a little bit now about our cleaning, construction, and some painting that happened in the buildings over the summer. Kind of slowed some areas of cleaning, and we identified those and was prepared for that. But we also identified some areas today that we really wasn't expecting, and we were able to make some adjustments and move some folks and overcome some of those shortcomings, and I assure you that those have been addressed. We've, through that construction that's happened at, for instance, up at Whitmire, it kind of slowed our attempt, or at least our schedule in that kitchen area as far as getting that waxed and getting it up and running. Kind of went through the eye of the needle and got it done, but it wasn't a fun process. Same over at Newberry High School, with all that construction basically going on in every wing of that building. It caused some wrinkles in their corridors as well, which we were aware of. And we're going to get that. It's going to get scheduled in there any given off hours that we can. If it's an evening where we can start getting some wax down, we're committed to do that. We got a new provider on board. I'll have to tell you, the old provider just didn't set the stage really good for our summer cleaning to be successful. They left a lot of things kind of open-ended that we were able to gather up as much of that as we could, but there's still a couple rough edges out there that we're going to continue to get better and get improved. I have a meeting scheduled tomorrow with our provider to go over some key issues that we're having coming out of the gate, and hopefully to get that corralled back up and get everybody going in the right direction. But I do want to assure you all that even though maybe a floor didn't get cleaned or there's some grass that didn't get cut, we are doing a really good job of keeping up with the disinfecting, with wiping areas down. The provider is committed to using some of the machinery that the school districts purchased in order to make that happen, and then they also have their machinery that they've purchased. So we'll continue to improve on that as we build schedules and again, fill out how we best use our people. But I've been visiting schools over last week and being a part of that, and there's always room for improvement, but I think when it comes right down to it, they're doing a pretty good job. So with that, I'll take any questions.
Do we have a fogger at each school?
We do. We have two. Right now, the school district has purchased a backpack, which is a 2-gallon Victory machine that I've had the pleasure to run a couple of them. Pretty nice machine. Does a really good job. And then as a sidebar to that, we have a 1-gallon, more of a handheld pistol type delivery method. Same electrostatic sprayer, uses the same disinfectant, just on a little bit smaller scale. And we're kind of calling that the point. If you've got something that you're not comfortable with, or a child, whether they are one thing or another, they weren't feeling well, and you want to hit it with some disinfectant, that gives the power back to the staff at the school to be able to do that. And we train staff members at the school along with custodial employees on how to use that device. So,
Do we have a plan, like some of the custodial, issues that we discovered that didn't get done this summer, up to everybody's expectations? do we have a plan on how to, as quickly as possible?
Yes, ma'am.
Get all of that?
That was one of the
back to-
conversations. Yes.
Back to our standards and what
Yeah.
everybody expects.
After you and I parted, we went and had that conversation right then. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
It's clearly been communicated.
Right.
And we'll have a follow-up on that tomorrow as well.
Back to child nutrition, when was the deadline for our virtual children to sign up?
For meals, we cut it off on Sunday.
Sunday?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Did we do that electronically? Did we send them a letter? Or
It went out.
How would they know to sign up?
We went out electronically. We put it out on all our social media outlets.
The reason I asked 106 just seems awful low.
It seems awful low. Yes, sir.
I have a question. As far as our custodians, have we seen a shortage? Do we have a shortage in custodians in the school? Did some people quit or retire? Do we have a shortage?
Well, I have my opinion on where the shortage falls, and I think a lot of folks for that particular position can draw unemployment and maybe make a little better of a wage than coming back to work, and that's put a little bit of wrinkle in hiring some night staff. Day porters, I think, are pretty covered right now. We had a day porter that fell ill and was not able to come to work today. Nothing that I think COVID related at all. Just
Worn out.
worn out, not feeling good. So they weren't there today. We had to backfill that with another custodian from another shift. But yeah, it's been a little trying to get folks to the table that are interested in those part-time jobs.
And do we have a plan or something that we're thinking about and trying to, maybe having to go outside a little more? And
Yes, sir.
They're recruiting, have been recruiting. They came in during the summer and did recruiting visits in all of our attendance areas. But I had that conversation with one of our area managers on Friday, and they've got a lot of new applications in, and they're scheduling interviews with those applicants as we speak. So
We had six interviews today. So we're continuing to interview. All right. All right. Thank you very much.
Dr. Hunter?
Dr. Hunter?
Madam Chair, board members, Mr. Suber, faculty and staff, and community. On our first day of our hybrid, we had the following students ride a school bus this morning. In our Whitmire area, we had 44 students in the morning, 44 in the PM as well. We had a total of 4 buses. For our Newberry area, we had 185 in the morning, 197 in the PM, with a total of 27 buses. For our Mid-Carolina area, we had 143 students in the morning, 179 in the PM, with a total of 21 buses, making a total for today of 372 in the morning, 420 in the PM, with a total of 52 buses. Out of 372 in the morning, students that rode the bus in the entire district, we had a total of 6 students we had to provide masks for. In the afternoon, out of our 420 students, we didn't have to provide a mask for any of our students. Currently, we have an individual in every bus area that will check the bus sanitizing sheet daily to make sure that the buses are clean after usage. Also, we'll have an individual check the bus camera in every area at the end of the day to make sure the cameras are ready for usage the next day. Finally, that same person will check seating charts on the bus once a week to make sure that the student seating charts are updated and accurate. If you would like a copy of our school bus seating chart, I can get that to you as well. I also have a copy of our sanitizing sheet that will be on the bus every single day. If you'd like a copy of that as well, I have that also. At this time, I will entertain any questions.
So, Dr. Hunter, for perspective, if we use 52 buses now, what would we use on a normal day, like a 5-day week?
Those same buses?
52?
Yes, sir.
Okay. do you feel pretty comfortable with this as far as the student spacing on the bus?
The students what now?
Spacing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'm sure that number will increase, Mr. Bledsoe, because this being the first day of school, a lot of parents brought their students to school, so I'm sure next week that will increase.
We're not having to double up on any routes right now.
Not right now, we're not at capacity on our school buses. Like I said, I'm sure next week those numbers will increase, and I'll have you that data as well.
So we're going to have to, if we double up a route, I'm assuming we'll have to sanitize the bus before it goes back out.
Well, like I said, we'll sanitize at least twice a day, because in the morning, when they park the bus, we got to clean it. And then when they take the students home and bring the bus back, we'll clean it again. So basically, it's going to be cleaned twice a day. Every bus.
But if and when you have to double up on a route, are you going to clean the bus between the two routes or not?
No, sir, because that would put kids an hour and a half, 2 hours late getting to school.
I'm just asking.
Yeah, great question. But no, sir.
Dr. Hunter, when you were talking about the buses, that the possibility of capacity, are you talking about the capacity with a safe distance, or are you talking about the capacity of what the bus holds?
The capacity with a safe distance of approximately 25 students. We're not near that.
Okay.
And that's why we're going to save some money. Hopefully, it depends on how many students actually ride the bus. Like Ms. Dowd stated earlier about the aides on the bus at this time, we don't see a need to have those on the bus, but as students increase by getting on the bus, using that form of transportation, then we'll monitor and adjust.
Okay.
Something, Doc, if you don't mind, something I want to interject, and I think we might have already shared this, but we are still in Newberry County using capacity at 50%. The State Department finally approved 67% capacity could be allowed, but we don't personally feel like that is enough distance or enough space for us to properly socially distance, so we're still running at 50% capacity or less. And the other thing is, we have not received the state disinfecting machines. That's something that I want to make a point here, and I know you've seen it in the newspapers, saw it, seen it on TV or what have you. The State Department is providing a pistol grip sprayer for each bus and some disinfectant, but those still have not arrived, so we actually went out and did it on our own, so just in case you hear that the state hadn't sent that information out yet, or that material out, they have not, but we're still sanitizing buses because we bought our own. So we'll just have 3 more when the state adds those to our...
Yes, and to piggyback on Mr. Suber, we do have backpacks for our areas as well. If you'd like to see them after the board meeting, I have one in my office I can share with you. It actually has 4 gallons, so you can use for sanitizing the buses. So I have that in my office if you'd like to take a look at that. I tried to take that final one to the Newberry area, but by the time I drove to Mid Carolina to drop theirs off, it was almost 6 o'clock for our board meeting. So I still have that one in my vehicle if you'd like to take a look at it. Are there any other questions?
I have a question. How many students are sent to the seat, one seat, or are they skipping the space, or how are they doing?
The first seat behind the bus is empty, and the seat right before when you get on the bus is empty as well. After that, depends on where the students are and how many students are actually in that household. They'll sit 2 to a seat, then skip, then 1, and it keeps going back and forth. And I have a diagram of that as well that we're following by our state guidelines.
Cool, thanks.
All right, I'll leave you with this. Do sharks complain about Mondays? No. They're up early, biting stuff, chasing stuff, and being scary. Reminding everyone they're being a shark. Well, we should be like sharks as well. We should be up early. We should get up early, biting situations, chasing dreams, and being successful. Reminding everyone we're human. Thank you for all that you do for students.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
All right, and Mr. Seaver, the superintendent's report.
Okay, Madam Chairman, members of the board, as you're well aware, the South Carolina School Board Association School Law Conference took place this past weekend virtually, and I know that several of you signed up to attend that. I did as well, but I've got a confession to make, and I told Ms. Alford it'll probably be the last time I do that virtually and try to work, because between phone calls and conferences and meetings, I didn't get to do a whole lot on Friday. I did get to spend a little bit of time on Saturday morning looking and listening to some of the information that was shared. But as we normally do, for those of you who attended, I would, at this point in time, if you've got something or a session that you attended that you would like to share with your fellow board members and with the audience, I would open the floor if you've got something you want to share from the school board's conference.
Well, as usual, it was very interesting. I'm always learning something about the training, and good information. Some that we really needed to hear about, especially with the athletes and all that, as well as with the COVID-19 as to what we need to expect. So it was different, but it was very interesting. Very interesting.
Okay. Others?
Well, because it was virtual, Miss Reader just pulled out her little notebook, and I meant to bring mine, but I left it. And it was the last session, I believe. He had questions and answers, and they were all legal things dealing with students, employees, just COVID related. And I found that very interesting, and it's really nice that we've got them there. If that came up, you could just go right there and look. And it was an attorney that was, providing all that. So I thought, to me, that was very interesting, and it's really helpful to have it sort of in one place in that book.
Anybody else? And I think the majority of those handouts and some of the presentations in the PowerPoints are on the school board's website for those of you that did not get to attend, and if you want to look at them, I think they're available for your viewing. Next on the agenda, what we normally do at the opening of school is talk a little bit about the school opening itself. I remind you that normally when we start school, we start on a given Monday, and normally the board meeting is not until the following Monday, so we've got a week's worth of information and enrollment and things of that nature to share with you. Obviously, from the conversation, the presentations with staff, you've heard a whole lot about the school opening, and certainly we are in a totally different environment than we have ever been in, and it is certainly going to be a challenge as we move forward, but we are up to that challenge. I did have the opportunity this morning and this afternoon to get to 7 of our campuses, and I will get to those other campuses tomorrow. So in the 2 days, I will go to each school. But I want to brag on our people, and everybody else has done some of this, but the schools that I went in, and certainly as Mr. Rawls has laid out, and Ms. Metz was out and about this morning as well. I know she thinks I was following her around, but I wasn't. I had no idea that she was at Pope Mary Garnier when I walked in, and then I went to 2 or 3 different schools and ended up at Newberry Newberry Middle School, and she was at Newberry Middle School as well. But I couldn't be more proud of what our staff has done. And when I say our staff, I'm talking about teachers, I'm talking about administrators, I'm talking about district office staff. For the last couple of weeks and weekends, these people have been working religiously to try to get everything together, where it's getting your building together, getting these devices together, programming hotspots, scheduling. These folks in instruction last weekend on Friday, I think we're in here till about 9:30 or 10 o'clock, worked all weekend. Same thing this past weekend, and these principals have been doing the same thing, but that's what we do. But this is definitely a different challenge, a challenge that we have not had before. And I would like to, what we're doing is we can't bring all of our principals in and they can't come. I'm trying to rotate our principals at each board meeting, and I asked 3 of them to be with us tonight. So I'm going to throw you guys under the bus, but if you want to share with us, and the good, the bad, and the ugly, I'm not asking you to say everything was positive. Tell us where your challenges were, but tell us a little bit about your opening and what the high points and maybe the challenges were, and we shall start with Ms. Folk. microphone, I'm sorry. Don't make the move. That's okay. I know you're up for it. That's why you're here.
You know, Leap Week was a wonderful opportunity last week to get our students into the building. Shared with Mr. Super this morning that I think that was a blessing to be able to invite our children in small groups, to come in to meet their teachers, to do the testing. Of course, that was very important. But it gave us a little taste of what today was going to bring us, and it brought some comfort to our teachers, and it brought comfort to, I think, a lot of our families and our students to get to have that break-in, if you will, to the beginning of the school year. So today we had a really good start. You know, our kids they're excited to be back in school. Our teachers, our staff are excited to see their kids. It's, you know, obviously been since March since we've had the buzz of children in our building. So we have been really excited about having them back. You know, I will be honest, the mask wearing was a little bit scary to me. I'm a mother of 3 boys who, you know, they have their resistance to things, and our kids have done beautifully with the mask, and I'm assuming that that's across the district. They don't have a problem wearing their masks. They look forward to their breaks, but they have done remarkably well. So we have had a really good start. Like I said, you know, it's a group effort. We've got a lot of support from the district office. It doesn't come without some hiccups, and the part of the hiccups were our technology. You know, we are in a process of learning so many new things, and our teachers have taken that challenge and bull by the horns, if you will, and they are really doing remarkable work where it comes to technology and implementing all the new. But we've got some things to work out, some techie things, making sure all of our kids have equal access to that instruction, especially our virtual and our Newberry One students. And so we focused on those students today and reassuring parents that, you know, we're working on getting you logged in. We're going to try to help you. But we do want to ask that our parents continue to show us some grace, because it's extremely important in the times that we are in and the stress that we are in, that we all have to show each other patience and know that we are working really hard to get those kids in and to get them to have the access that they deserve for their classes and their courses. So other than that, it's been a good start. We are ready for tomorrow. We know we're going to have some things come up, but we're ready for them. So can entertain questions.
Thank you, ma'am.
I have one quick question. Was there like one main problem that was causing like some of the access issues, or was it just various type problems?
It login, I think, was the main issues. You know, it's going to get worked out. They're going to be able to log into Clever, get into Schoology, and have access to their courses. But for some reason, some students had some problems with their logins, and so that's what we were doing the majority of today, was troubleshooting why they couldn't get into their Google Meet to participate in their course, in their classwork.
And I'm going to brag on Miss Folk. When I was at Pomeria, I walked in the office and she had a family in there with a young man that couldn't log on, and there was a language barrier, and she was talking back and forth with them, and she said, well, come on. She said, it's probably something to do with the login. So she went through all the steps, and to see that young man's face and the smile he had on his face when his teacher came up and she called his name and said, hey, I'm glad you could join us, and just smiling from ear to ear and being able to do that virtually. And I think once we work all these kinks out and our students and our staff members and our teachers get used to it, I think this is going to be very beneficial for this school district.
I wanted to piggyback on something she said. Somebody called me on the way down here and they said, Mr. Budsaw, I told you about my son, that 7-year-old, refused to wear a mask anywhere. She wouldn't let him go in the store, but he wouldn't wear it at home. She was getting him prepared for it. Sent him to school with it. He got out there and she said, what is that on your mask? And she said, did you wear your mask? He said, yeah, everybody else did. She said, what is that on your mask? He said, I forgot I had it on. I got ketchup on it. It really was a boost for me because I'm concerned about that age. That's nothing to it.
Well, Mr. Bledsoe, we were concerned about having kindergartners. You know, parents are used to walking their kindergartners into class the first week, sometimes 2. And we've had to ask parents nicely to make sure they drop them off in the car rider line. So we anticipated lots of tears coming into the building. Do you know we've not had any? We had one kid cry last Thursday, and I went up to him, and it was at the end of the day, and he was crying because he had to leave. So kind of the same thing, you know. I think the kids are just really excited to be back. They don't even recognize the things that we fear for them.
That's right. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. Ms. Westwood, give us a middle school version of your first day, please, ma'am. You didn't sign up for this either, did you?
No, sir,
That's
I did
okay.
not. I did not, but it's all good. It's all good. So, you know, middle school's always just a fun little piece within itself, but I want to reiterate a lot that, you know, Ms. Folk said as well, that just from first thing in the morning, you know, it was raining in Prosperity this morning at Mid-Carolina Middle, so we're out there with umbrellas, and I'm holding a sign that says, please stay in your car and move forward, and waving, and the kids just up against the glass, just waving and excited. And last week really did help. It was a great cushion, you know, for children and parents to learn procedure and protocol and what it was going to be like. And so today was almost like the second week of school, you know, in some instances, because everyone were, you know, they were very comfortable coming in. We gave out one mask last week, the entire week, and as the young man was getting out of the car, I could hear his mom, I'm so sorry, you know, and I said, no, ma'am, we have these disposable masks, you know, to give the students. And she said, yeah, but he had his favorite, and he left it at home. And I was like, well, it's fine, we're going to give him one for today. And he hasn't come yet. He's a Group 2 student, so, you know, we'll see if he comes with that fun mask that he's got. But just a really, really good from the very beginning. No traffic issues, not to be funny. You know, that's always fun for us on the first day. And I walked outside, and I stood, and I turned and looked at the three coaches standing there helping with traffic, and I said, where are the rest of the cars? You know, and it was really a ha-ha moment, but just flowed beautifully from the very moment that the children got out of the cars to, you know, when they got into the classrooms and the breakfast. So, you know, kudos to that department, my you know, cafeteria ladies, for just being on point from the morning all the way through lunch. And we did move our students throughout the day from class to class. We also moved them into the cafeteria to have lunch. And last week was, again, a training period for them, and it went absolutely beautifully, just beautifully. And I think the children appreciated being able to not stay in a room and be able to move a little bit. They really did. The teachers did also, you know, as well. And then dismissal went great. So just great in between. We also, you know, assisted the students. Our students that came in face-to-face were very minuscule with any issues with technology, because as soon as they opened their laptop, it started dropping in everything else on their desktop that they needed. So trying to help out, you know, some of our virtual students this morning, and we were outside, we were leaning in cars, you know, helping them out and all, and so, you know, helping to get them rolling as well. And again, just little bumps that will smooth out as we continue, you know, to move on. But yeah, our cafeteria, just to give you a little joke, got compared to Chick-fil-A today, because we were producing some good food and some good services, and we actually did serve a chicken sandwich today. So so that was part of it too. But I just want to give a shout out, you know, not just to my staff, but to all staff, because it is honestly taken everyone, I mean everyone, spouses included, who didn't sign up for this, you know, to pitch in to make this work, and for us to kickstart, to get a very good start. So I just want to shout out to everybody. Just thank you for everybody who's pitched in, because it has honestly taken everyone to, you know, to get this village going. It really
Were you
has.
able to eat in the cafeteria, or did you just let the students go through and get the food?
Our ladies served them, so in our cafeteria, we have 2 serving lines, and so we had a divider down the middle, and of course, we had the red markers on the floor that the students were already aware of where to stand, that were distanced apart. And so our ladies would serve them everything. The children didn't even touch a dispenser for their utensils, napkins, nothing. They were given everything, and they just stood there and said, do you want your beans? Do you want your fries? Here's your fruit. And the ladies just gave them a nice pile of food and handed their tray to them, and the children just walked right on through. So
They ate in the cafeteria?
yes, sir, they did. They did, and really enjoyed it. They're slowly figuring out, if I sit here, and even though you're 6 feet away, if I turn, I can see you, and we can still talk. And so and that's very, very important to all children, but especially middle schoolers that are going through a lot of phases in their life, for them to have that socialization. They were also able to go outside, while we were waiting, because we could not, of course, bring all the students in at the same time. And we've got 20 minutes in between the grade levels to do a good cleaning before the next group even comes in. So yeah, it was an amazing, it was a great day. It was a great day. Just got there with a smile, left with a smile. It was a great day. Any other questions from in the middle? All right.
Thank you, ma'am.
Middle school's done.
Much appreciated. In a high school perspective, Mr. Cannon, if you don't mind.
Good evening. From a high school perspective, for us, we didn't have the LEAP days. And so for me, it started with great anticipation, even to the fact of I rolled out of bed about 3:47 this morning, and my wife said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I can't sleep, so I'm going to work." But I would say anticipation, frenzy, and reward. And I know we've been looking forward to this day. As I reflect on it, it was, March the 13th on a Friday when the last time that we saw a normal school day. And so I told our teachers and our faculty and staff, it's been a lonely time working in the building preparing, but it was all worth it today. As the day got started, I guess the next word I would use, and which I used, was frenzy, because it was. And there are some challenges in which we have ahead of us. The bulk of our challenge, or the most of our challenges, came with the Newberry One, getting logged on, Schoology, getting with Google Meets. But those were challenges met on both ends, meaning I think some challenges that came from the students and parents in trying to understand it and wrap their heads around this new platform, which is understood and to be expected with anything that's new. And the same stands for our teachers, is they're trying to learn it, they're trying to get the professional development. And so there's a lot that we need to learn on both sides, but the piece that I'll say is that that's where the reward comes at the end, because it was a lot of frenzy, it was a lot of hecticness at the beginning of the day, and then towards the end of the day we started receiving some very positive comments, especially from our Newberry One, is that as the day went on, as they got to second, it got a little better, and as they got to third block, it got a little better, and then at fourth block, people really started getting the hang of it, started getting with their Google Meet, started seeing their teachers, and so we had some very positive comments. And so for us, that was very positive. Our front office staff, our administrative team, our teachers, anything and everything that they could do, they were there to help our students and help our parents. Prime example, we have one of our English teachers, is that technically she had a planning period. And in the shuffle of switching sections and courses and trying to build Newberry One, there were some still students trying to log in and trying to do a Google Meet with her. And she's even volunteered tomorrow. I'll meet with those students tomorrow just to make them feel welcomed and to help them along the way. So we have teachers that are going above and beyond. And so I commend them, and I know those are teachers that are happening not just at Newberry High School, but across this campus. And with those challenges and with those tough times to be expected, there's a lot of reward that comes with that. And for me, it was the fact that we had students back in the building. It seemed somewhat normal. I say that as I was sitting in the bus loop and watching buses come up. For us at Newberry High School, we have almost 300 students that went Newberry One. So that's over a third of our students. And I didn't know what that was going to be like. And so as buses came streaming in, And I'm used to seeing 40 and 50 kids get off buses. It was a bus came in and 3 kids got off, and a bus came in and 4 kids got off. So that was different, but it was something that our students were excited about. It was fun to see them smile. It was fun to see them excited about being at school and seeing friends and seeing teachers. And the huge piece of it is I told our teachers, and even walking around and talking with our teachers at the end of the day, is the impact and the opportunity they have, especially at the hybrid level, with such small classes. They have such a tremendous opportunity to make a huge impact and to really push and give our kids at the hybrid level the one-on-one attention and to help them grow academically. And again, I know that our Newberry 1 teachers are experiencing some challenges, but the fact that those students are getting a hold of it, I mean, getting grasp of what needs to be done in those expectations was something that at the beginning of the day and how it shifted to the end of the day was something that I was proud of. So many people, as Ms. Westwood kind of spoke about, that go into play that need to be thanked for that. Whether it's the first and foremost being the teachers, is because the teachers they've been soldiers. We had numerous teachers that came in on uncontracted days. They came in, they did PD. We have an amazing TTL in Lindsay Boozer, and she spent hours and hours and hours preparing professional development along with one of our assistant principals, Mr. Bowie. And we were lucky in that fact, as he's coming from a school who came to us from a district that used Schoology. And so he and her were able to work together to create some positive impact and training when it came to Schoology. So I was very confident in that. And again, we'll continue to make those tweaks and changes throughout the year. The one piece that I would like to say is our Office of Instruction, and working with them hand in hand, it has been kind of some back and forth, and I'm sure between myself and Ms. Stribble and Mr. Cooper, we've been literally texting, and over the weekend I'm sure we've hounded them and they've hounded us a little bit, but we made it happen, and we made it happen in a very small window. And so I think that says a lot, even though we're not perfect. It says a lot to where we are, and it says even more to where I think we'll be in the coming weeks. And then the other piece, probably the unsung hero in my opinion, and I told our faculty and staff, because they made our job easier, is Cindy Mills. And what she did with Power School, and anybody that knows anything about Power School and master scheduling and what they have to do in Power School, it is a beast. And everything that she's going through and what she's doing, she has been absolutely amazing. And she's made our jobs as administrators, the teachers who probably don't even realize it, she's made all of our jobs easier. So I would definitely give her a shout out and a big thank you to Ms. Mills.
Athletic program, it's on time.
Yes, well, our first football game is scheduled September the 25th. I am looking forward to it. I know our kids are looking forward to it. It is different. As a former football coach myself, and seeing the manner in which we're working out and the pods, it's what we have to do to be safe. And at this point, I think all of our coaches and our players, they're willing to do whatever is expected as long as they get to step on the field. And hopefully we get that opportunity on September the 25th, and that will be another rewarding experience to see our athletes, our volleyball players, our football players, all those folks be able to step onto the field and compete.
Mr. Cannon, did you integrate the Career Center in any of the either hybrid or virtual students today?
Yes, sir. So we had, I think this morning we had 37 hybrid kids that we're at because I'm at the buses every morning, so we had approximately 37 that headed to the Career Center this morning. And then I know, again, a majority of our Newberry 1 students have still chosen to, even though they may not necessarily want to come to the school and given the opportunity of dropping a Career Center class or keeping it, a lot of them chose to keep the Career Center class. And so even our Newberry 1 kids are choosing to go to the Career Center and then do the remote learning from home in their core classes. And again, I think that's huge in the fact of how much the Career Center means to our district, is because the programs that our Career Center offers and the opportunity that it offers them upon graduation is monumental.
Any other questions for Mr. Cannon? Thank you. Obviously, you hear the enthusiasm and the excitement in those three principals' voice, and I heard that over and over and over in the 7 schools that I went in today is, boy, I am so glad to be here. I can't wait to get started. I didn't get one negative comment about I don't want to be here, or again, I know there's some anxiety going on out there. I know there's some people that worry about health and safety, and all of us do to a certain degree. And, you know, in a letter that I penned, and I think you've got a copy of it, and we sent this out electronically to try to keep people safe, because normally to send out 800-900 letters, there's 3 or 4 people that are folding them and things of that nature, so we sent everything out electronically. But I want to share a little bit of that with you and with the general public that may be listening right now. Our school district, along with districts across the country, has endured many uncertain and has endured much uncertainty and concern as we prepare to educate our students in a pandemic environment. There are many unknowns as we begin this educational journey. Nobody signed on for this challenge as you prepare for your role in public education. Today's challenges will shake us out of our comfort zone and make us explore and grow in areas we never thought possible. In the long run, our school district will be stronger due to the challenges we will face and overcome. Yes, there are many unknowns, but there are some things, as your superintendent, that I firmly believe. Number one, our students need your love, support, and guidance now more than ever. While our students richly deserve quality instruction, we must also emphasize the social, emotional learning as well. This school year will be like none other. It will not be perfect. Our ability to monitor and adjust will be critical to our path forward. We must stay positive. Negativity and pessimism will be detrimental to all involved. A positive, can-do attitude, which I saw over and over and over again this morning, will be the key to our success during these challenging times. Communication and collaboration are integral components of any organizational success. When educators share information, resources, ideas, and expertise, learning is enriched and more effective for our students. Last, and certainly not least, we believe in you. All of our staff members, teachers, administrative assistants, bus drivers, cafeteria workers. We may be a small rural school district, but we are richly blessed. Your dedication and passion for your profession is evident in all that you accomplish on a regular basis. Lastly, and certainly not least, the support that we have received from our community, our students, our parents, business and industry, faith-based organizations, local government agencies, and our school board has been heartwarming, and we are extremely thankful. We will be successful, and this will be an absolutely wonderful 2021 school year because of the people that we have in place, the passion they have for what they do, and the support for this entire community and this school board. And on behalf of this entire school district, I want to thank you for that support. Lastly, I think all of this news tonight has been good. But as you know, every Monday, DHEC puts out their recent disease activity report, and we've been sharing that with you guys now since the middle of June. And the new report came out today, and I am proud to let you know, if you don't already know, that Newberry County is now rated as medium recent disease activity since the first time of the first report, I think on June the 21st. Our incident rate per 100,000 last week, it was 301. That incident rate is now down to 166.5, which puts us in the medium incident rate category. The trend in incident rate, and that is the trend in the number of positive that you have in a 2 rate compared to the last 2 weeks, it is low. And the percent positive is still high, but it did come down, and that's the percent of positives per the number of people that are tested. Last week, that was at 18.9%, and this week it dropped to 14%. So again, it gives us an overall metric of medium on the DHEC scale. And if you'll remember, the recommendation that DHEC put out is that if you were at high risk or high activity, you should be totally virtual, and that if you were medium, you could go hybrid, and then if you're low, you can go back 5 days a week. So we actually have started our first day, and we are in the medium category, which is exactly where we were recommended to be. So hopefully those metrics will continue to go down. If everybody continues to wear these masks and socially distance and do all the things that we're asking them to do, I do challenge parents that if you have a child at home that has any symptoms that are COVID-like, any kind of temperature or cough or cold or something that's abnormal, I would ask you to take them to the doctor and have them checked out. And please do not give Tylenol or Advil or anything like that to your child if they have a fever and send them to school, because not only are you putting your child at risk, but you're putting a lot of other people in the school at risk. But together, as we work through this as a school district and as a community, we can overcome this and be successful. But I think we've got to be strategic along the way, and we've got to be working together. And that sign behind you has never been more important. One district, one team, and we have one mission, and that is to have a great school year, a safe school year, and one that benefits all of our children and their educational endeavors. And I'll be glad to answer any questions for you if you have any for me.
I would also add, I meant to say when I was up there, is I would urge all the students, if you were given a device, to please bring it to school. I talked to multiple principals and kids forgot them today, so please bring it.
Any other comments?
I'm sure that made it to the media, so you might want to repeat.
Mr. Cannon said, on behalf of all of the principals in this school district, all you students, you have been given devices to use. Some of us forgot to bring them to school today, so please make sure that when you come to school, your new textbook is your device. So please make sure you have it when you come to school tomorrow. Thank you, Ms. Metz.
The reason I'm smiling is I taught with one-to-one device for 3 years, and that was a constant, unfortunately, 180-day battle. You got to bring it. So, yes. Do I have a motion to move into executive session?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Take it out.